Welcome to Newtown Creek Nature Walk. I'm Lisa, and today we're going to talk about watersheds and sewer sheds and permeable and impermeable surfaces. So we're going to do some exploration around the nature walk and explore different surface types. So the first thing we're going to do is explore the terms permeable and impermeable. And to do that, I'm going to use this stone to talk about what's impermeable and this tree bed over here to explain permeable. So when you have an impermeable surface, that simply means water does not absorb into it. It just runs right off. And here's a demonstration of that. Pouring my water, it's not absorbing into the stone, it's sitting on top of it. And if I pour a little bit more, it just runs right over the side. And so this stone is an impermeable surface. And you can say with confidence, all stones are impermeable. So here in this tree bed, we're going to see what permeable means. And so when I pour the water onto the ground here, it sits on top for a moment, or maybe runs off a little bit, but it is absorbed into the ground. It permeates down into the soil. So now that we understand the difference between what's permeable and what's impermeable, let's go see how water moves over these different surfaces in different locations around the nature walk. At the entrance of the nature walk, you have this long approach where the ground kind of begins to show a little bit of topography. But these pavers and this concrete, what do you think? Is it permeable or impermeable? I'll pour a little water. You can see it's all flowing down towards the drain and entering the combined sewer system. So now we're going to do the same experiment here on the steps of the nature walk. And so we know that these stones are not permeable, but there is a planted area here. And so you can see the water is pouring over the side and being absorbed by this planted area, or going around it and being absorbed by another one of these planted areas. And if these planted areas weren't here, the water would go directly into Newtown Creek. So what if something isn't made out of stone or a paver or concrete, and also isn't a planted area? Something like this gravel walkway. Is this going to be permeable or impermeable? It's a good question. So what's happening here? Some of the water is being absorbed, some of it's being run off, and so maybe this is semi-permeable. So this ground has a lot of people walking on it, so maybe it's compacted, which means it's just kind of squished down really hard and there's no spaces in between the little pieces of soil. But most of it did absorb, so it's probably semi-permeable, but closer to being permeable. So this will absorb water. So here we're underneath one of the willow trees at the Newtown Creek Nature Walk. And this is a really great example of very compacted soil. It almost looks like stone. That's how hard it's been compacted. So let's see what our water does when poured on top of this compacted soil. Very little of this water is being absorbed. Most of it is pooling in little puddles here, or running off to make other little puddles elsewhere. So compacted soil is almost impermeable. So we've just explored a whole bunch of different surfaces to determine whether or not they're permeable or impermeable. Now your job is to go out in your neighborhood, around your school, around your house, and try and figure out what surfaces absorb water and which surfaces contribute to stormwater runoff or water runoff. And so what does that mean to the health of the creek? Well, you can see right here, all of this trash looks like it was on the street at some point. And when the water from a rainstorm moves all of that trash down into the storm drains of the street, they end up washing out into Newtown Creek. So having permeable surfaces that allow the water to permeate or get absorbed by the ground is one of the best ways that we can help keep trash like this out of waterways like Newtown Creek.